Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Kong Skull Island 6-inch Kong by Playmates. This is another figure in the Playmates line of Godzilla figures. I know, Kong hasn't really appeared in a Godzilla movie yet as of me recording this, but I mean, kind of. He's in the Monsterverse, which, King of the Monsters and all that, so I guess it technically counts, but yeah. Either way, this is actually the first time I'm reviewing Kong on this channel. That's because I don't really have any others. This is like the only one I have. I don't have the 11-inch Kong because, well, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't have the Leonard Kong because it just didn't interest me at the time. It looks good, but it didn't really pique my interest, so yeah. So far, this is the only one I have, and for a first Kong figure, it's not the best. Not a terrible figure by any means, but still not perfect, but, well, let's just take a look at the packaging and then we'll talk about why the figure is just okay. So, taking a look at the packaging, we can see here, Kong Skull Island, or just Kong here, but Kong Skull Island. We have Playmates in the corner here. The upper right here, or, half the box here, we have the 11-inch Kong, which I know the picture here looks pretty good. I don't know if my camera can pick that up well because of the angle my tripod's on. I would adjust it, but for some reason, mine is very tight. So it's kind of hard for me to adjust it, but yeah. Anyway, I know the picture here makes the figure look good, but I've seen it in person, and it just does not look good. Mainly in the head sculpt, so I just decided, I think I'm just going to get the 6-inch one. It'll save me some bucks, and it just looks a little better, so yeah. Anyway, on the side, we again have Kong Skull Island. On the back, we have a picture of Kong fighting a skull crawler, a little bit of a bio, so if you want to pause and read it now, go ahead. We have Kong Skull Island right here. And in the background, I'm just going to try to turn this. We have this, sunset sort of, jungle setting here, which really reminds me of the old Kenner Jurassic Park toy line. With the packaging and all that, and I actually really do like this. And on the bottom here, we just have some legal information. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. Very similar to a Bandai Creations figure that you'll find at Walmart these days, but yeah. Anyway, now for Kong himself. And first, we'll take a look at the painting, and the painting here, it's not awful, but at the same time, it's not necessarily great. But then again, a lot of these Playmates figures, or, these Playmates Godzilla figures aren't to begin with, so, yeah. Anyway, let's take a closer look. So, as you can see, most of Kong here, his fur is painted a brownish color. And his body here, mainly his chest, is painted this, this more of, this darkish color, more of, a blackish color. And the scars right here, I'm not gonna lie, do look pretty good. The face is also the same color as the chest. And the eyes are painted orange, but as you can see, they look a little weird. Because, they weren't really applied correctly. So, it's kind of bleeding onto his eyelid there, which, again, doesn't look great, but, it's something. His ears here are painted brown. They weren't that color in the movie. They were the same color as, his chest and all that, but, yeah, they just, Playmates is just lazy. Also, his hands, they were also black in the movie, but, again, they just did not. They just painted that hands brown, which I don't get, so, yeah. Also, the feet, the underside, are black, and, well, this makes sense, because he does have fur on, his feet, but, here, I don't really get, so, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the painting on Kong. The painting on Kong, it's not great, it's nothing special, but a little more care would have been nice, and I feel like, the painting would have been much better, but as a whole, it's not terrible, but it's not necessarily great either. So, the painting on Kong, I'd say get 3/4 of a pass. So, yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation is, well, there's one thing I don't get, but the rest of it is fine. Basically, Kong can look, 360, and what's cool is that he can actually look up, so I do like that a lot. The arms can move 360 like so. And the legs can't move 360. Usually, this figure is very similar to a Bandai Creations figure, or Bandai Movie Monster Series figure. And, if this was one of those figures, it would be able to twist its leg 360, but for some reason, they just kind of, end here. So, yeah. A little disappointing, but I guess it's not the end of the world. I think the weakest part of the articulation here would have to be the feet. They're on swivels, which, it's cool that they're here, or like they at least thought of something, but like, this just like ruins the balancing for the figure. I mean, it can still stand well on its own, but like, you know, like, this just messes up the balancing. I do not get this at all. And it's not like the packaging was like too small or anything like that. Like, this is, you know, the packaging was, you know, enough to fit, you know, his feet and all that, so I don't get it. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, it can still stand fine, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the articulation on Kong. It's similar to a Bandai Creations figure or a Bandai Movie Monster Series figure, but there are some things that do keep it from being to that level. Some things, you know, better or worse, but either way, the articulation, nothing special, though I would have done without the articulation in the ankles here. I get what they were going for, but I would have preferred if they didn't have that, so yeah. And that's pretty much it. So I'd say the articulation here, honestly, it gets 3/4 of a pass. Not special, but, you know, there are some things that I do not like about the articulation. So, yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the sculpt. And the sculpting on this figure is pretty good. It looks a lot like how he looked in Kong Skull Island. And I don't know why, but this figure in particular really reminds me of Spear from Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, which, by the way, as of me recording this, nothing has been confirmed yet, but, you know, when the last 5 episodes come out, like, I'm going to be excited, so, you know, Genndy, if you're watching this, hit me up, but, yeah, no, you know, all that aside, you know, the sculpting looks good, looks pretty accurate to how he looked in Kong Skull Island, and this definitely passes. Everything looks good, nothing's really, you know, out of proportion or anything like that. Proportions are good, the sculpting, it's just good, and I like that. So, the sculpting on Kong, I'd say gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is kind of good, but it's kind of not. First, take a look at the head here. All the detailing on his face looks pretty good. Pretty well defined, and even in his chest here, everything still looks very well defined indeed, but like, his fur in some spots, like on his shoulder here, could look better. But like the back here, the fur looks pretty good. And even on his arms, the fur looks pretty well defined. His hands look alright. Nothing too special, but yeah, they're just alright in terms of detailing. The legs, again, look alright. And the feet here are detailed very nicely. And even the underside, they look very nice. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for the detailing on Kong. It's not perfect, not great, but it's still alright for what it is. So the detailing on Kong, I'd say gets a pass. Now, at the end of the day, should you get this? Honestly, I'd wait for a discount. Right now, you can buy this figure in Walmart for like $12, which is not a lot of money whatsoever, but honestly, there are some things that I do dislike. It's not a bad figure, by any means, but if this figure ever goes on clearance, then definitely go for it, because, well, yeah, not perfect, but it's still fine. If you want a Bandai Movie Monster Series figure, like, you know, figure like Kong here, I feel like this will do a good job, because when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out, I don't really think that they will make it Kong. They might, I could be completely wrong, but, you know, they might not, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably just going to make a, you know, Mecha Godzilla, and, you know, just Godzilla, but, well, for Godzilla vs. Kong, but yeah, I don't see a Kong happening, but again, I could be wrong about that, so yeah. By the way, this is something I forgot to point out. This is actually not the first time Playmates did a Kong figure. They actually did the toy line for Peter Jackson's King Kong, which I had plenty of those toys when I was a kid, and I loved them. And comparing those figures to these new Godzilla figures and Kong figures, I don't know what happened. I heard from a friend that the company is not doing well at all, so that's probably why the figures are, you know, the way they are, but they're still not bad. They have potential to come out with some pretty cool stuff, so very excited to see what happens, so yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big Kong is, here he is next to Dr. Billy Grant. Alright, now that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.